Good morning again, everybody. Thank you for sticking with us and enjoying these different sessions. I would like to introduce Joy Britt. Joy works at the Alaska Native Tribal Health Consortium, and she as a support program manager, and I've worked with Joy for a decade now, and thank you. Welcome aboard. Good to see you.
Good morning, almost lunchtime. You might hear my belly rumble after that. But today I am so happy to have the opportunity to speak with you about the ANCSA Contaminated Lands Partnership Group, led by me and my team over at the Contamination Support Program at ANTHC. So this is an older map from 2019, as I don't think the state of Alaska has updated this. They are tech savvy now and they use a live Google map instead. But I wanted to just show you the then 25 TRPs, or tribal response programs, brownfields programs across Alaska. We currently have in 2022, have 22 TRPs, but that invitation to apply email has gone out. So we may see that number of programs increase in Alaska in the coming days or weeks. I know many, if not all of you, are familiar with tribal response programs. For those of you that are not, a TRP is a brownfields program funded through the EPA to address Part 128A in CERCLA, which main goals are to identify, prevent, and remediate and reuse contaminated or potentially contaminated sites. What that means for the partnership group is that this group would not be possible without the EPA 128A funding. As a TRP grantee in 2017, I was asked by the EPA to include leading the partnership group as a deliverable within our existing grant. This means we didn't get extra funding to operate the group, but we do so within our work plan. And that topic is so near and dear to my heart that when we were asked to do what some considered extra work, we just jumped at the opportunity. This is something really important to us Alaskans. So though I want to focus on the partnership group, I will just briefly give a background of ANCSA and why this group was developed in the first place. As you all know, ANCSA occurred in 1979 to address land claims in Alaska, making a clear path for oil. With that act, President Nixon abolished Aboriginal land claims in Alaska in lieu of the creation of 13 regional corporations, 224 village corporations, and just under $1 billion for 44 million acres of land. Now, this can be a contentious topic, so I do want to walk lightly and gently and focus mainly on the fact that with the conveyance of that 44 million acres of land, some of that land was conveyed already contaminated. And at that time, the feds did promise that the land would be inspected and conveyed clean. We all know that didn't happen. Here are a few examples of contamination left behind on now corporation land for our ANCSA corporations to deal with. After pressure from Native corporations, the 1998 BLM, which is the Bureau of Land Management, report was released. And I want to focus on what's circled on the screen, which is it was unclear of how many other sites of concern there were in Alaska. At the time, they had 383 contaminated sites in federal programs, and there was reluctance to report these sites from the landowners, which are the corporations, because of the liability. Why would someone that owns the land report something to the federal government or the state of Alaska when in turn they would be in charge of cleaning it up and footing the bill? Then in 2015, the congressional direction came out instructing the BLM to prepare a comprehensive inventory of contaminated sites, provide updated status on recommendations from that 1998 report. Keep in mind, this is 2015. And provide a detailed plan on how the department intends to complete a cleanup of each of the contaminated sites. So this group that you see on the screen was formed to oversee that congressional direction. It's also called the Alaska Native Claims Settlement Act Contaminated Sites Site Inventory and Remedial Planning Group, but we call it the SOC. It's a long name. And they really are a group of wonderful, caring people. I put at the bottom there, ANTHC attends these meetings as a guest member. We aren't officially members of the SOC, but we have been asked to attend to provide more of that tribal representation and perspective. So here in my brief, quick history, due to time, the 2016 report comes out. That's 18 years to see what progress has been made since the first BLM report. So we have a BLM web map that was created, which is great. That shows, and I will have the link for that BLM web map for you, but it shows the sites that were captured in that report. But mainly the recommendations from this report were these top three: that the state of Alaska, ADEC, should finalize the comprehensive inventory and implement a remedial action process. Now that goes to the DEC because DEC is the enforcement arm within the state of Alaska. Recommendation 2 is establish a formal contaminated lands working group. And recommendation 3 is initiate a site cleanup process. Number 2 is where we come in. So I just also want to showcase that this report also had this table that shows more sites that was depicted in the 1998 report. You see that circled there, a total of 1,089 sites that were reported conveyed during ANCSA. Now that doesn't technically mean it's a bad thing, right? You think more sites, oh man, more contamination, but that just shows that the BLM worked really hard to outreach and network to the corporations and other federal agencies to concisely report these sites. It's just the foundation of what we can work off of. And that's really important to capture. So that's my breezy 11 slides with history. I want to get to the meat of it. In response to recommendation 2, the partnership group was formed. Hooray! That means that our goal of this group is for Native entities to lead the action on addressing the sites that are shown on the BLM web map, those 1,089 sites and possibly more. We want to address new sites that were not captured in the 2016 report because of that reluctancy to report some of these sites. That is very understandable from the landowners. And our purpose is to initiate the identification, verification, prioritization, assessment, and eventual cleanup of these sites. We acknowledge that there are many more sites that could have been conveyed to ANCSA village and regional corporations contaminated. And that's what this group is main driver is to find what those sites are, to find them out and clean them up. So how do we do this? The partnership group consists of representatives from corporations, tribes, the Alaska legislature, federal agencies that are essentially our support team of cheerleaders and squeaky wheels. I love this slide because it's true. We need to be cheerleaders and squeaky wheels to come together and cheer and squeak for the next steps to move forward. It's been 50 years since the passage of ANCSA, and through the partnership group, we finally have a platform to unify our voices and make a change. As a partnership group, we operate separately and individually from the SOC, but we do get our cues from the SOC as they monitor the progress of its members in doing what they said they would do. With that being said, on the screen, you see a snapshot of our partnership group charter. This charter is available online at our ANTHC CSP website, which I can put in the chat later. It's also on this presentation. But the charter outlines the roles of the participating members. It's a living document that can be edited as the membership dictates. This charter was developed in 2018, as you see highlighted, and it's now 2022. The pandemic happened. A lot of that halted a lot of the actions that the SOC and our partnership group had planned at the time. We haven't conducted a membership meeting that is open to the public since 2020, and that happened at ATCOM in 2020, but we really want this partnership group to succeed and not stall, especially with the BIL funding on the way. So So to answer the question that was on the previous slide of what and how are we going to do this, step one is to participate, join the group. Step two is answering how are we going to do this is knowledge. Become familiar with the current resources that capture information on these known ANCSA sites. These resources are also posted on the ANTHC CSP website under the ANCSA Contaminated Lands Partnership Group, and I will have links for you at the end of this presentation. And with that, we can form a foundation on creating a prioritization strategy for these sites in anticipation of available funding. So these are the steps I mentioned. Verify that the information is correct. After you look at these, the information on the current resources, look at your region. See if you live near a site that is posted and you're like, hey, that's not that long or that's not where it's located, contact me. Let me know what is actually the truth on these sites. Or if there are more new sites, let us know. And step three is advocate. But I also, before we go into advocacy, I want to really highlight the passage of the 2018 BUILD Act. With this act, liability fears that troubled our ANCSA corporations, our landowners, are allayed, meaning that the corp that owns the land that was contaminated before conveyance is now not legally responsible. But keep in mind, there has to be proof that further contamination was not conducted by the responsible party. But that is a huge win for our corporations in Alaska. Now, step three, advocate. Cheer and squeak. This picture is one of me sitting at the desk with former EPA Administrator Andrew Wheeler. And I was invited to the table with all these bigwigs. I was nervous, guys. All these bigwigs to talk about the ANCSA Contaminated Lands Partnership Group. This is huge. Also sitting at that table was Jason Bruni, who's the ADC Commissioner. And Mr. Bruni has been a longstanding advocate of this group. So next, coming up, moving forward, we're gonna look to meet with Administrator Reagan, hopefully. But yeah, I think advocacy is really important, and that's what this group really pushes for. So I talked about the history, I talked a little bit about the group, and yet where are we now with the actions called forth by that 2016 report? ADC has been poring over the data, removing all duplicates and updating the inventory, all amidst this global pandemic and several leadership turnovers. There's been a lot of great leaders that retired during the pandemic. So they're working really hard to get all of this data resolved, and they did share this table with me to show you today. All of these sites have been reviewed. Only 2 are needing further review. And it may just look like numbers on a slide to you right now without further clarifying details, but I hope that entices you to ask questions or attend our future meeting. As for the SOC ANCSA Contaminated Sites Committee, we do have a representative leading that committee in the audience today, so she can give you an update in chat or after this meeting, but we did meet in January of 2022. ADC and BLM are preparing to update the contaminated sites information in their respective databases. So there are 2 databases, BLM Web Map and the ADEC database. And the committee looks forward to focusing on ANCSA conveyed contaminated sites that are not in a cleanup program, which are called orphan sites that you see there. So another partnership group meeting will be coming in the next couple of months, where progress on these sites and other sites not shown in this presentation will be explicitly and transparently displayed. So looking forward, I keep mentioning this group meeting coming up, and we are really hopeful that that will happen soon. If you're interested in attending that meeting or becoming a part of the partnership group, please email me. My email is right there at the bottom of the screen. And here are some of the links that I mentioned where you can learn more about these sites in your region, about what we're doing with the Contaminated Lands Partnership Group, and add more knowledge to your minds. So I'm going to stop share there. I hope that I helped get us more on track with time as I tried to speed through that presentation. And if anyone has any questions, or I'll leave to the organizers to either boot me off or whatever you need.
Thank you, Joy. That is fantastic. We appreciate it. I don't have any questions now in the chat for you, but what we could do is if anyone does have questions, I know you're going to stay on with Ignacio, so perhaps they can continue to add, if they have any questions, add them in the chat and you could address them while you and Ignacio move to the next presentation.